Hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they're open for business, serving hot, fresh food 24/7. Look at Moan shaking his head over there.
Oh, my God.
Moan's reading up on the news on this Monday. What do you got, Moan? What do you got?
Everybody was celebrating and also asking questions of why and how Kyler Murray held the Arizona Cardinals at a ransom's fee and got paid still for a guy that hasn't won a postseason game. And there was also rumors that he wasn't a great leader and he didn't watch film. And that second part is why I am laughing, because people get material, DK, like us. We find this contract is public knowledge. I've always been a guy say, you know what? There's one thing about the NFL. The contracts are public knowledge for everybody. And in his contract, they have made it mandatory for him to watch at least 4 hours of independent film. I have never seen this a day in my life.
Whoa. 4 hours of independent film study per week. Per week. That's about 40 minutes a day. This is mandated into a contract that is paying this young man.
Yeah.
Where's the dollar figure on this?
$230 million and a half.
$230.5 million.
Yes.
Over a 7-year span. Well, actually, it's 5-year span, and there's other stuff in there. But
of course,
this is. Look at what you're saying. If you're the Cardinals, look at what you're acknowledging.
Oh my gosh, man. Like, that's one thing that players that are great always, I was a student of the game. You've heard me say this on this show, DK, man. Like, I didn't feel good if I didn't watch film. For them to put this into his contract that says you're required to watch 4 hours at least, at minimum, a week.
A week.
Also, in this
quarterback.
Also, it says this in section 3, for the avoidance of doubt, like they know you're going to try to trick us. Players should not receive any credit for independent study with respect to any time periods during which material is displayed or played on the iPad or electronic device. Player is not personally studying or watching the material while it's been displayed, or a player is engaged in any other activity that might distract his attention, meaning he can't watch TV. He can't play video games or browse the internet. Pittsburgh, y'all worried about Kenny Pickett's small hands. Damn that, man. No. We got a guy that won't be a pro here. At least Kenny, we know, is a pro and is a student of the game, DK. The quarterbacks.
Let's do this, Moan, because we're on the eve of training camp. I'm heading out to Latrobe tomorrow for a reporting date. Really excited about it. And we're going to see and hear from the quarterbacks. We're going to hear from Kenny. We're going to hear from Mitch Trubisky. We're going to hear from Mason Rudolph. And now I know you don't know all of these guys.
Yeah.
But to your knowledge, and just based on your time with Ben Roethlisberger, with Mason, and with any other quarterbacks, the guys that have been around here, Byron Leftwich, Charlie Batch, and so forth in the background, have you ever seen a quarterback have a problem with this?
No. And this is why it's so comical to me. And also why I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier. It's like, this is the type of stuff. This is the type of stuff you get from the Arizona Cardinals, or you get from the Cleveland Browns, or you get from the Jacksonville. Like, these type of organizations is where you get this type of stuff from, because there's so much instability. And DK, you know this too. There's the want and need for the franchise guy. Kyler hasn't done much. They started off fire hot last year, and then they died off, did they not? And I wonder why. Now, you've given me the ammo to kind of say, whew, I wonder why they fell off. And it's probably because he doesn't watch and study his opponent. I've never seen Landry. I've never seen Mason. I've never seen Josh Dobbs. I've never seen Dennis Dixon. I've never seen Byron Leftwich, Charlie Batch. There's a multitude of guys that have come and walked. Mettenberger was even there early as hell, okay? Duck was a huge film studier. I'm naming off all of these Pittsburgh guys that watched film and took the job of that position very serious. And we've, to my knowledge, never had that issue before.
But of all positions, Moan, with all due respect to what you did as a craft and the different things that you guys had to study in films, both from an individual and a collective standpoint, how to handle certain things that you saw. The quarterback.
Yeah, man.
Okay. The quarterback, just in studying the other team's safety movements alone. Just in that, because they got to make a decision like this based on something that they can't completely be prepared for in the moment. They just can't. It's crazy to me. I have to ask you something. You just made a reference to, how did you put it about a franchise guy? They want to manufacture a franchise guy or something like that?
Yeah, they want to manufacture a guy that's a franchise guy. Like those organizations hadn't really had that, DK, consistently.
I have a term for this.
What's that?
And I've used it for years. It's called Andy Dalton syndrome. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Give me a little bit more, though.
Here's why. Because Andy Dalton Andy had his moments, especially early on. The Bengals were built those Bengals were built mostly on defense and all those wacky guys they had on that side of the ball. But Andy was your quarterback, okay? He wasn't a franchise quarterback. The Bengals wanted him to be a franchise quarterback, and therefore they paid him franchise quarterback money just so that they could have a franchise quarterback. Guess what was missing from that equation?
What's that?
He's not a franchise quarterback. He got to stop any kind of anything. Okay, he's just not.
I know.
It's almost like you're making a self-fulfilling prophecy or hoping for one.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, I got to tell you, Kyler Murray, Moan. Yeah. He's a guy that everybody knows that he also was into baseball, kind of like a
first-round pick.
First-round pick, and a lot of people thought that actually he'd go into baseball, that baseball was his first love. And I watched him face the Steelers out in Glendale.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, all I was thinking to myself through that whole game was, this dude's going to still end up in baseball. Because he didn't even look like he wanted to be out there. And I kept saying that to Dale Lawley next to me. He doesn't even look like he wants to be out there. Now, he ended up being better than that, obviously. Okay. Yeah. He got himself a nice rhythm with obviously a couple of pretty good receivers that he's got. But at the same time, man, how does this happen?
DK, I know we're coming up on it, man. So coming up in this next session, we'll have to discuss more on why the quarterback is or is not the reason you succeed.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. It is the eve of training camp. It is the eve of being back in Latrobe for the first time in 3 years. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure the players who've been out there before are looking forward to it. Maybe even some of the guys who hadn't been there before would be looking forward to it based on other stuff that they've heard. But Moan, more than anything, let's not kid ourselves here. We can analyze this, that, and everything else sideways. It still comes down to that one position.
It does.
And why is that? Why? Give me something other than the obvious or most important position in sport. Well, no kidding. But why? What makes it that?
It's the face of the franchise for the most part. These are just like the aesthetic things. It's the face of it. It's the guy that's naturally supposed to be the leader. It's the guy that's going to hold the ball every play. Like, we give credit to the center. The center's going to hold. That's because they want to make the big guys feel important on the field. Like, the center holds the ball every play, but the quarterback is the one everybody's watching hold the ball unless it's a snap fumble, man. And just, DK, plays can be, like, teams can be broken. You know what I'm saying? If you have a really good quarterback. Like, imagine that year, and I'll forever reference this, man, when Patrick Mahomes, when we could call him Pat back then, came into Pittsburgh and we had a monstrous defense and our offense was good. Defense wasn't monstrous. Defense was on the come up, but the offense we had was damn good, okay? And lo and behold, we put up 40 plus points or 30. I think our goal was like 35 or 38 a game. And we did that and still lost to Patrick Mahomes. That's why the quarterback is so important. We could go and beat Kansas City, man. I mean, seriously, it wasn't a thing to go beat them. Whatever. Oh, who was it? Alex Smith was the quarterback. We'll go get this dub. They're going to be hard because the crowd is loud. But the quarterback means the most because he can make plays with his arm, for the chunk plays, or either just the rhythm of the offense, it goes a little bit smoother. Everything just comes together a lot better. You have guys that are mediocre wide receivers that turn into stars. You have guys that are already stars turn into superstars. You have an offense that buds like none other because of one guy. I don't know any other position. There are 10 guys hitting a running back on every play. A quarterback can still get rid of the ball and complete passes down the field or throw an incomplete pass to not hurt the offense. That's why they're so important, DK, and that's why we are eyeballing the position challenge that they have in Latrobe this weekend. And not just that, that's why we laughed at the Kyler Murray thing. And I also referenced to you like Lamar Jackson. You know, like there's a lot that goes into that position as far as what teams want to do with them and not want to do with them too.
Yeah, that's... You know, I think of it more almost like as a chemical reaction thing, which is like you said, there's only one person, well, other than the center, who touches the ball on every play. Well, as we remember from the playoff game at home against Cleveland, that does matter too. You know, when Marquise had the snap over Ben's head. But when you think about how everything funnels through the one individual, and then from there, the decisions that come out, and you can put whatever words you want into his helmet beforehand, radio and everything else here. That thing goes off when the ball is snapped. And when those guys, if the other team decides to do some, you know, crazy stunted blitz that nobody recognizes and they're all coming for you, all that prep and everything doesn't do you much good. It's still the quarterback operating on instinct. And you know, one thing you and I have talked about a lot here is that 7.5 wins figure. Okay.
Yeah.
And why is it where it is? I was on a national radio show with Trey Wingo and Mark Schlereth the other day, and I asked them that question, and their answer was real simple. They just said quarterback, and they didn't apologize for it. They didn't it was Schlereth who came back and he said, listen, we can know, or we can have faith in Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett or whoever. Doesn't matter. We're talking about bettors here. Bettors just see that Ben Roethlisberger's not there and somebody else is.
That's true. That's so true. And so to your point, though, DK, you remember I've always kind of said when you have that type of guy as far as being on the quarterback, to your point about the bettors, we used to just live by the motto, and I heard a coach say this, the franchise guy is supposed to win you half, if not more than half, or very close to half of the games, just on him just being there. And the rest of the team is supposed to carry you the rest of the way. The franchise guy is supposed to get you close to half. I will not disclose who it was.
Oh, okay.
There was an NFL coach that said it. Look, when you got the guy, he's supposed to win you about half of the games by himself in his presence and being there.
Damn.
And you think about it. What has Pittsburgh kind of done? You know,
fourth quarter comebacks, or
freaking Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. They win you half by themselves, and the rest of the team does the rest. Like, the reason we walked around with so much confidence is because we had him. No matter what you thought about it, was because we had Ben, and that was that mindset that was given to us. Win half by yourself, and we'll do the rest. Like, that's why it's so important, man. And I can see teams scrambling. Like you said, like Kyler Murray, in a sense, again, 230 and a half. And then you got Cleveland giving 230. And also looking at Lamar's situation in Baltimore, like, we don't know what that's going to be, but the levels in which they operate is totally different between those organizations, man. So we'll forever speak about this position, DK.
How did Mike Tomlin actually, he would phrase it, what you're describing there, he would say, how were you able to do this? How do we have this? How did that happen? Because we have 7. That's what he'd say. Yeah, you could hear him say, because we have 7. We have 7. Well, we don't have 7 this year. We have an 8. And what's Mitch 14, wearing? 3. 14. Mitch is 14. I'm trying to think here. Mason's obviously 2.
Kenny is 10.
Yeah. Oh, no, Mitch is 10. Mitch is 10. Yeah, 10. Okay.
There we go. We'll get it.
Get it. You know what? We're going to see them all. We're going to see them all out there tomorrow. Mitch is 10. Kenny's 8. Mason's 2. And Chris Oladokun, for those who are keeping track, is going to be 5. That one I did remember. See, I remember Oladokun, but I don't remember Mr. Trubisky.
Because I told you to. You remember that?
When we come back, it's time for the only segment that matters. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. Time for the only segment that matters, the Hey Mon segment. And today's comes from Ryan Stanley. And Mon, you are going to love this one.
You said I would.
The timing is immaculate. Ryan says, "Hey Mon, I'm a new dad of a son about 4 weeks ago. So I'm champing at the bit to start throwing anything at all that has a stitch in it. What position does your son play? And what is your favorite part of being a dad, my brother?"
Man, first and foremost, congratulations. Okay, I gotta say that. Welcome them to the world. Kids are beautiful. I'll tell you this too. Your life is no longer your life. Okay, that's what I will tell you. DK, he grunts because he know I'm true on that one. If you're submitting yourself to your kids, meaning you're cultivating them to being productive citizens, I don't care if they become a doctor, an NFL player, NBA player, MLB, it doesn't matter. Firefighter, just have them be productive citizens in this society that we live in. So, on to sports. I fought football for a long time with my kids and still have a rule. My youngest is probably want to punch me because of it. We don't play football in my house until the 7th grade. That's because that's when I played and I turned out okay. I'll say this, depending on what your kid does, if your kid is a small, fast kid on the field, guess what? The coach is just going to give him the ball and he's just going to run wild around the field as far as football goes. If he's the big kid, there are no real coaches for kid linemen, youth linemen. There just aren't. I call it fallen bodies. I don't want to call it a disgrace. But I saw one guy tell a kid, "You bigger than him. You just supposed to push him like this with the forearms." And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I almost lost my mind, okay? 7th grade is when I suggest anybody letting their kids play or do flag football. I am the world's best flag football coach, okay? At least that's what I'm going to tell myself.
I have heard this.
My kids love me, and this is why they love me. I have fun with them, but I'm firm. And this is the other part of it too. Flag football can get real gimmicky with a reverse here, or just giving it to the fast kid on the field. No, I'm teaching them football stuff, okay? This is why we line up this way. This is why we catch. Okay, this is what we do after we catch. We don't run backwards, we run forward. I do all of those things. My oldest now, though, if you ask me what position did he plays tight end / wide receiver on offense. And from my understanding, because I don't go to the practices, they're a middle school team, and I don't want to be the dad on top of the hill in my truck watching practice. But he's
or the former NFL player sitting in the truck on the hill watching the practice.
On, looking at the coach.
Nobody wants that. Yeah.
No, I don't want that. But he plays outside linebacker / DN, and apparently he is an aggressive little guy. I did not know this. Also, my kid is 6'4", like 170 pounds at 13. So it's different for him.
Okay, hang on a second. See, reading Ryan's question again, he said anything with a stitch.
Yeah.
And he said, what position does your son play? So I thought we had a nice natural segue here into what your son accomplished this weekend in Southern Alabama. And now you're going to share that with the group.
I am. And that's why I was going to. I'll say for any parent too, start them off in soccer early. Get that energy out of the way. Let them understand that, look, you got to be out here for 30 minutes and then we're going home and you get a snack afterwards. That's about correct too. But he also plays baseball. My kid is a first baseman. He plays third some, and he's a heck of a pitcher. This past weekend, he hit a grand slam and pitched a complete game in a perfect game tournament in South Alabama. They didn't hand out MVP.
In the same game he's leaving out.
He did. He had a hell of a weekend. He hit like 3 home runs. The field was 275. He smoked one into the pond behind the field. I'm talking about a missile. He said the kid that was playing catcher on the team told him, "I bet you won't hit it over those trees." And my kid got up, and these kids were pitching about 74, 75 miles per hour also. 76, we clocked them at like 78. So he good. He hit it over the trees. And I said, "Did you look back at him?" And he smirked. Was like, "Nah, I was just excited in the time." But he did good, man. Pitching, first base, and he plays third too. But he's in basketball. I say keep him multifaceted. You got me started now, DK, because I'm going to say It's hard to do multiple sports in this day and age because the training is so much different. The era in which these kids have done stuff is year round for all of them. We just
specialization is what is the thing that you hear a lot of people who are veteran observers or instructors of youth sports really complain about specialization. Meaning that they say your kid can just do this, just focus on this. Well, it makes the kid boring. The kid could possibly lose interest because there's too much of the same thing, right?
Yep.
Whereas now when you talk to head coaches of major league teams, and I'm not just talking about football, I mean anything, I'm including managers in Major League Baseball, they will all say the same thing. Multiple sports, be versatile, have different things for different seasons, learn different skill sets, challenge yourself in different ways. The kid's brain can handle all of that. They just can.
And give your kids a break too. DK, also in this same tournament this weekend, this one kid in particular was a righty throwing he was averaging between 74 and 77 miles per hour. And there was a play out there the mom told him, "Coach, stop having him throw so many curveballs." The coach buffed at the mom and told her, "Hey, I'm the coach. I know what I'm doing." You know what happened on the second pitch after that happened? The kid blew his arm out. The kid blew his arm out. They said he dropped down and he went over to the dugout and said, "My arm is numb." So I'll say this to you parents that have kids that have pitching kids. Protect your kid, okay? Don't be the helicopter bulldozer parent. But if you know your kid has pitched 70 the first game, 50 this game, and then get back up there for another inning, and you know better, especially the curveball, DK, you know that.
Yeah, well, any of the slow stuff. But, I mean, there's a reason that even in the minor leagues, they're very careful about having their pitchers focus on any off-speed pitch. They want to see fastball command. Put the one down, put the one down, put the one down. We'll get you the junk as you go on. But they don't want you wearing down, specifically the pressure that puts on the elbow. Why did you have to end it? It was such a good show, and you ended with that story.
My kid did a complete game. Let me give him a little props real quick. He did a complete game. They actually went into extra innings, and he went out there the rules are bases loaded, 1 out, and he made it with no scored runs. So, and they end up winning the entire tournament this weekend. So, gave up no runs on bases loaded.
Mon, I'm so happy to say that the next time I talk to you, I'll be standing on a grass hill at St. Vincent College. Let's do it tomorrow.
I can't wait, man. Seriously.